Poland says it fears tensions at its border with Belarus will escalate in the coming days, and that this could be the start of a conflict of an armed nature. On Monday, Polish troops prevented thousands of migrants from illegally crossing the frontier. 3,000 to 4,000 people, mainly from the Middle East, have massed in the area and are hoping to get into the EU. Brussels and Warsaw accused Belarus of deliberately sending the migrants to the area in retaliation for EU sanctions on the Minsk regime for its human rights violations.
Hundreds of men, women, and children headed to the Belarusian border. They want to enter the European Union by crossing into Poland, a member state. And many want to travel even further.
No go to Poland. We are go to Germany. Germany is life. No Poland.
But they were met by barbed wire and thousands of Polish soldiers who have been stationed along the border. Some migrants tried to breach the fence, but were pushed back. Poland says the situation is under control. The EU accuses Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko of using the migrants, most who fled war or poverty-stricken countries in the Middle East, to put pressure on the bloc, allowing them to fly into Belarus and then encouraging them to cross into neighboring EU countries like Poland and Lithuania.
This is a continuation of the desperate attempt by the Lukashenko regime to use people as pawns to destabilize the European Union.
Lukashenko's government has denied the EU's accusations and blames Poland for triggering the escalation at the border. Instead of trying to understand the migrant situation and consulting with human rights advocates, the Polish security forces exerted psychological pressure by deploying aviation, technology, and tear gas. In response to this unjustified use of force, some of the migrants took more decisive action and began destroying the Polish barriers. Poland has declared a state of emergency in the border region, which includes a media blackout. Journalists and humanitarian organizations are not allowed to get close to the border. Only Belarus state media has close access to migrants and the conditions they're living in.
So many of them doesn't have food, water, they have small kids and they're freezing and the weather is pretty cold.
Attention, attention.
Aid groups support these reports. At least 10 people have been found dead on the Belarus-Polish border since the summer.
And DW correspondent Magdalena Głosz-Palokat joins me for the latest. Poland has sealed off the Kuźnica official border crossing. What's the significance of this?
Well, remember, Kuźnica is very close to the place where the quite big group of migrants came yesterday in the afternoon. So it's the closest one we have there. And what does it mean? You know, it of course means that there can be no traffic anymore. Yesterday, some traffic drivers has been asked what's going on there, and they told us it's normal, it's everything normal here. So today they closed it, and it of course means that it may harm the international trade, and it may also harm Lukashenko, which some say has a very vulnerable point on that. And of course, a lot of people here in Poland claim Poland should close all the borders, should close the border completely.
And sticking with the Polish government, it's warned of the possibility of armed escalation at the border. What does that mean?
Well, there were some reports of blank shots recently here in Poland, and also some reports of men from the Belarusian side who have been seen here on the Polish territory, which of course some reminded of this so-called green man we had in the Ukraine. And remember, we have now soldiers on the both sides, on the Belarusian side, on the Polish side, 12,000 soldiers just on the Polish side. So the situation is explosive now.
And the Polish Prime Minister said today that Poland will defend peace in Europe with its partners, namely NATO and the EU. But so far, Poland has refused international help. Why is that?
Well, it's a kind of interesting also for me that the Prime Minister and other government members stressed that so clearly today. They stressed that it is a border of the European Union and of a NATO member. And, I would not interpret it as longing for help, as we hear from the beginning of the crisis that Poland is able to manage the crisis by itself. I would rather interpret it like expressing that Poland is securing Europe also, which finds Poland in a better position than in the recent times, being criticized for the low crisis here in the country.
All right, DW's Magdalena Gross-Palokat, many thanks for that.